Okay, let's get started. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to today's weekly town hall meeting, October 11th, 2022. Today's agenda is projects and development updates, documentation updates, marketing updates, Kaizen workshop updates, collaboration updates, and Q&A. Robinson, start us off with project and development updates, please.
Sure, thank you. So these Dora metrics, they are captured over a period of last 2 weeks. So the previous one that we were showing was that was across 3 months, but now that we have the process in place going forward, we will try to capture for this 2 week intervals. Now the first one, the speed metric, I would rather consider this as our first formal one. We can see that around 66% of the effort is spent on the development, and the rest is on review and release. Most of it is on the release. But the good news is that because of our next releases, the release time is it's going down. But on the review time, we have to make some improvements because some of this is phenomenally high numbers. Like idle time for some of these PRs are phenomenally high. And as a note to the team members, we've been chasing various team members to close the PRs or MRs because of these extremely high numbers, like 208 hours of idle time. So please do collaborate and try to close MRs that you open within a week or so that these metrics looks neat. This is the deployment metrics. Now this is looking good because we had one production deployment and one deployment, one hotfix for next. So we have to do the deployment, but in theory we have two deployments. Going forward, we should try to keep this momentum. But still, we have only 0.67 deployments per week, which is much lower than what we want to achieve. This is again work in terms of PRs. So we have very high numbers here. If you look at these graphs, our work completed in the month of October is almost comparable to what we had in September already. And this green part, this shows healthy area based on the metrics, and we are above the healthy area. So this is a was good work. Okay, the change failure rate, we are yet not able to capture this. I've been showing this slide as a reminder that we need to improve our CD and hotfix process so that we have accurate information available for the change failure rate. So overall, we're making good progress, though we have to keep an eye on our MRs because many of them are closed without reviews. Many of them are open for way too long, especially on the blockchain team. We had a habit of creating MRs and keeping them open for way too long. Going forward, we have to make sure that we're closing them within a week. If something is idle, let's try to close them, create a new one, rather than spoiling our metrics. Blockchain updates. So most important item is that we had an incident on Friday. So we had a mainnet crash due to certain transaction was not handled properly. Not getting to the exact details of the transaction because we are working on a fix. But this is a bug and a crash. This is not a blockchain halt due to let's say participation or any other aspects. So, but we were able to identify this, and the witnesses restored the mainnet in few hours. So, really appreciate everybody who was working on this. And on other updates, we are slowly progressing on the Ethereum Suns. We do have certain challenges on deploying the smart contracts because of the upgrade, how we have to handle the upgrades. That is still a challenging item. On the Bitcoin side, we had certain unique challenges with respect to calculating the fees. Now we have come up with a workaround and we are proceeding to test against the mainnet. That is the mainnet of Bitcoin. So if that works fine, we may improvise our implementation and proceed. So this Bitcoin integration is expected to improve our Sun Bitcoin responsiveness and also address some of the outstanding bugs that we have. On another news, Hive Suns, this is successfully verified against the new Hive mainnet. So Hive is upgraded to 1.26 over the weekend. So we had verified verified against the mainnet and the Hive and SPD withdrawal and deposit both are working as expected. Moving on to Next. So we had a preview release of the Next. When I say preview release, this was our first release ever connected to the Peerplays mainnet, and we were able to test few items. And so this is an excellent progress from everybody who was involved. And then I think the previous week, most of our activity was revolving around this deployment. Now, in terms of the features completed, if we consider Next is having three major areas, that is wallet, the cross-chain functionality, and exchange. We seem to have completed all the features on the wallet side. So on the, I think same is applicable on the cross-chain as well. And in addition to the traditional features that we had on the wallet, we also have the Whale Vault integration. So the traditional wallet or the legacy wallet, which we had, it was a desktop app for those who are not aware of this. So what we've done is we have taken all the features from it and integrated that to the exchange product that we have. Now, I don't think there is any requirement for anybody to use the older GUI wallet because all the functionalities are available in both Next as well as the Dex UI. The cross-chain functionality, both the integrations, they are working as expected, though we do have some quicks on the Bitcoin side, which we are aware and working on. On the exchange, we do have a basic trading functionality and an exchange screen available, but it requires a lot more polishing. But the basic functionality is available. And in addition to that, we have also introduced a swap feature, which is very similar to what we see in these modern exchanges like Uniswap and Pancake. What it does is it will help you swap between tokens, provided there is liquidity in the exchange. So really appreciate everybody's hard work towards getting this next release done. We have some screenshots from the next year. So as I mentioned, we have the Bitcoin and Hive deposit and withdrawal functionalities. So those are available on the screen. Plus swap and market functionality can also be selected like this. So this screen is designed very similar to what we see in the modern DEXs. So this is the Bitcoin withdrawal functionality. So what happens is if somebody wants to withdraw, there will be a button on clicking on that. It will auto populate the public keys and the withdrawal address. This screen is newly implemented in the Next. In the Dex UI, that is in our older iteration, we had a pretty complex screens for this. So this is and the Hive and SPD withdrawal screens also will look similar. In addition to that, the wallet features which I was talking about, most of the Zipos, voting, witness, Suns, etc., they are also available in the Next. So here is our current charts. I think towards the end, it looks like there is a flat line because most of the effort was spent towards releasing the product. So I think that's why we have some flat line. But before that, as we can see, there's some good progress. And we also have quite a few releases. We have 3 releases and one hotfix that happened during this sprint. The next item is the trade hands. So here we have a lot of new features being developed. The details are given in the slide. Primarily, various features with respect to the NFTs are being done, and upgrades to the core framework has been handled, etc. Yeah, so that's a major updates from the development team. To summarize, I just want to summarize this once again because we had a major release on Next. And on the blockchain side, because of this release, we were able to identify some issues, some of the issues that we were not able to identify earlier. So that was the major highlight from the previous week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bobinson. Sean, documentation updates, please.
Hello, thank you. For my update today, we have some upcoming documents that we have our functional specs for trade hands that Barty is going to work on. And these are going to be a little more in-depth and deeper documentation. So they're going to take a little bit longer than typical. We have updates to our user guide for the DEX, namely in generating our Bitcoin transactions and how to find public keys and such. And then we have our three project docs for our requirements. And so I'm working on that. And that's my update for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Salah, marketing updates, please.
Thank you, Kelly. I'll give 4 updates this week. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, wherever you may be. I wanted to let you guys know that there's some work being done behind the scenes on product positioning statements between Jonathan, JM, and I. We're really looking at Peerplays as an organization and all of the downstream products, which there are about approximately 11 of, just to make sure that we have clearly defined what they are before we go to market. And that's everything from what they're called, what the features, benefits are, what the taglines are. And the intent is really to remove any lack of clarity, not only for ourselves, but obviously for our community and our witnesses, and making sure that our products are very, very clear to us in terms of what they do and what features they have. This will be really valuable work because it will allow us at some future point to define some personas, some individual key characteristics of the individuals that we'll use in these products. So more to come on that. In terms of the Peerplays weekly email, you would have seen hopefully a new format last week. If you did not receive that email, please let myself or Salah know. I'd be the first to admit that it's not the world's most beautiful CRM weekly email. We are pretty limited in terms of what we can and can't do cosmetically within Motich, which is an open source CRM platform that I'm hopefully looking to move forward from at some point this quarter. The offer for contributions and content ideas remains open. Please submit any ideas or content themes that you'd like included. The intent is to give a much broader snapshot of all the work that's happening at Peerplays across all of the teams and all of the individuals. So please check it out. Let me know what you think. And if you have any ideas, also please forward those. Work has recommenced on a Peerplays website design. We're still looking at the end of this month for that completion. I'm meeting with Dave and Abigail twice a week to move that forward. We have some early designs that we're kind of evaluating and taking some core analysis on. So hopefully next week I'll be able to provide some more updates on that work that will be completed this week. This also ties back to the product positioning work that JM, Jonathan, and I are doing. All of these things need to sync up. We need everything that's online as a virtual representation of Peerplays to have a consistency to it. This will also impact our social media profiles, which are a little bit sporadic right now and schizophrenic in terms of what they're saying and what they look like. That's a bit of an easy cleanup. But so far, so good on the website redesign. I'll give you guys a greater update next week. I wanted to congratulate Elka, who has completed both the onboarding and the hiring feedback surveys. She had 100% response rate to those surveys. And as you can imagine, it would be no surprise that some of that feedback is positive and some of that feedback points to areas of improvement. I would say that in general, that the responses were pretty positive, and I think we can take some solace from that. This is really a larger culture piece, which allows us to represent ourselves as effectively as possible from the moment we post ads or we put open positions out there. It also allows us to fine tune our hiring process, our interview process, and our onboarding process so that we can A, attract top talent to Peerplays, and B, retain them. That is my updates for this week. Over to Salah.
Thank you, Michael. In terms of stats for this week, as I mentioned last week, so we're doing kind of a comparison between quarters, months, and also weeks. So far, early in October, we still having low traffic, but we're expecting to have much September or having a better traffic on October compared to September. And in terms of weekly, we had a bit of down last week in terms of traffic compared to this week compared to last week. So that's the major update for this week. In terms of domains, including peerplays.com and other domains that we have for documentation and also registration and the login, We're still having a bit of positive in terms of documentation, however, a bit of negative like a trend in terms of Peerplays.com. As Michael mentioned, so we are redesigning the website. So once it's done, we will be having a better user experience, and we'll be working strongly in terms of SEO and other campaigns as well. In terms of social media, the audience, we're seeing good growth, most of the social media, excluding the Facebook, but in general, we have a positive growth week to week so far. In terms of email, as mentioned, as Michael mentioned, so we have a new design. We're getting, this is the first week. We have some, like Michael mentioned, so we're working on Motish, and we're hoping to get a better platform to get the design to the next level. However, we're seeing a better open rates than the week before, and we'll keep using variation of subject lines in order to get the most open rate and click rates. That's my update for this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael and Salah. JM, Kaizen workshop update, please.
Hi. So I just want to make a brief update on the Kaizen. So, we've had how many? 4 now, and the first 2 were on documents, and you can see from the Kanban below that everything is in progress. Actually, some of those can now move over. So we're slowly burning through these documents, updates, and what we'll do at the very end is we'll be documenting these Kaizen events, the results, in this sort of standardized format called a Kaizen story. So you can look forward to that for documents. And you can see from the deployment frequency, we have a huge number of items in the backlog. So we got together and we did session 3 and session 4 on deployment frequency. Session 3, I got some feedback that maybe there were too many people involved and it was difficult to go through these 5 whys. So we switched up the format a little bit for the 4th one, and we tried optional. So it was whoever felt they could contribute could join. And we used a different format. So instead of doing breakout rooms and doing 5 whys, we followed this facilitation technique called lightning decisions. So you do 5 minutes per kind of part of the process, and you go through until you've prioritized different potential solutions. But what you can see here from the Kanban is that we have lots in the backlog and not very much moving forward. So based on this, we're going to make another change to the Kaizen process. And on this Thursday, instead of doing another session where we get together and talk together about what issues are, we're going to do a full day work session with a select group of people on 1 or 2 of these items. So that's the change that we'll make. So instead of doing just an hour or 2 hours meeting to talk about and think through the issues, instead, we'll do a full day dedicated work session on one of these issues so that we have a little bit more firepower to move them forward. So that's what I wanted to share about Kaizen. And then the other thing I wanted to share was just, I wanted to thank the team for the next launch. As a company, we're pushing towards increased deployment frequency and CI/CD. And as part of that, we decided let's get Next launched to production. And so many people worked really hard to make that happen. And I wanted to thank Ali, Evan, Ty, Ashwin, Kritika, Riley, VJ, and the rest of the team for all the effort and coordination to make a production release of Next. So thank you very much. And that's my updates on Kaizen and Next.
Thank you very much, JM. Jonathan, collaboration updates, please.
Hello, thank you very much. So these are the collaboration updates for this past week. So with Gaming Benefits Corporation, we had a call where we discussed some of their plans in regards to working with some Indian jurisdictions that exist within the United States, where they are now starting to collaborate with them in regards to their regulated charitable gaming operations. It's an exciting step because that means that with that step, it means that Peerplays would be entering into those spaces along with their applications. So there was discussions about that last week, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the future. Infrastructure. With 3Speak, we continue to communicate with them in regards to the cross-chain interfacing feature. We expect to get some finalization on that this week. Fortunately, due to scheduling issues, they weren't able to do that this week, but we expect that this week. So that's essentially what happened this past week with them. Medical. So there was a meeting with Mars VR. We've talked about them in the past. They are in collaboration with us regarding a gamified rehabilitation community. So their technology is quite interesting. It's a startup that is working with hospitals and they help with people who end up in wheelchairs and need to be able to be rehabilitated. They are essentially using VR as a technology to be able to help with that. It's a very unique type of an approach, but besides just using VR, they've of course built games into it. And so they've come to a place where they are starting to expand to the point where they are now ready to start looking at the community element that goes into the games. And that's where Peerplays comes in. I've talked about this in the past several months ago because, of course, their development schedule is their development schedule. So now with this meeting we had this past week, we're starting to explore how we're going to be making that connection into their systems. And this will be interesting because essentially where Peerplays comes in is it will act as the layer for connecting all the communities around the world. And with the gaming elements and the tokenization and all that kind of stuff. Also, there's ambitions in regards to data privacy and also being able to utilize the data which is collected when they're using these systems to be able to potentially allow for individuals to monetize it. Where in the past, of course, it all goes to the companies and the companies end up monetizing it, and the people who were involved got nothing, which is the current way things are. So it's pretty exciting. We're going to be continuing to talk about that, and hopefully we'll see more movement on that in the near future. Esports had continued talks with our associate in North Carolina, and that is progressing well. I expect to have more on that next week, actually. Dedicated team updates. We found a QA. So I want to give a thanks to Alka, who was very persistent and consistent in her efforts to find a suitable QA. Of course, with the help of Ashwin and Kieran, who was helping her with interviewing those potential candidates. We found somebody who is going to be joining us this week. And I'll give more details on them in the coming week because they haven't technically signed on or anything like that, but it's very close. So we do have one new team member coming on for the front end QA. So there's no need to be hunting for a QA for us anymore, but thank you for anyone out there who helped send any candidates our way. And as far as other team members that are going to be needed for the immediate future, there is no immediate requirements at the moment. We seem to be team complete again. So that is also very excellent news, especially with all the work that we have coming with Next and the upcoming blockchain updates. So that is the collaboration update for this past week.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Questions, comments, thoughts? Okay, and that will end today's town hall meeting. Thank you very much, and I hope you all have a great week.